the two connectors that help power up and connect this antenna. They did indeed get that final connection made, so that was taken care of. The crew also took care of breaking the torque on the bolts that are holding the brand new 6 batteries that are on this integrated cargo carrier pallet. That is some advanced work that is being done in preparation for EVA number 2, which will take place day after tomorrow. And the crew also installed the work platform for the Dexter robot, which you see there on the screen at the lower left-hand corner. This is a large wedge-shaped platform that Dexter can use to move around different spare parts and to have a bit more freedom of movement. Crew also worked to install some electrical connectors and also what's called an input drive as a part of that mechanism. So fairly busy EVA. Both Steve Bowen and Garrett Reisman had a couple of challenges with the space-to-ground antenna, but they overcame them and got it in a good configuration. The ground team here in Houston will continue to take a look at this gap that they reported to make sure that it is in an acceptable form. And we will have more details on all of this coming up in today's briefing, which we will have a time for you coming up here shortly once we confirm the availability of Emily Nelson and Lisa Shore, who will be the two people in that briefing. So we will stand by for that. But once again, today's spacewalk began at 6:54 a.m. Central Time. It ended at 2:19 p.m. Central. The total time, 7 hours and 25 minutes. Also coming up in today's briefing will be Leroy Kane. He is the chairman of the mission management team. He will have an update as well as what's ahead for Space Shuttle Atlantis and talk a bit about this possible end effector survey that the mission management team has been talking about this afternoon. So all that's coming up a little bit later here on NASA television. And once we get a specific time, we will bring that to you. This is Mission Control Houston. Once again, today's spacewalk has wrapped up at 7 hours and 25 minutes. It began at 6:54 a.m. Central Time. It ended at 2:19 p.m. Central Time. This was the first of the 3 spacewalks planned for this mission. We will have a look back at it during today's briefing that's coming up from the Johnson Space Center. That briefing will have Emily Nelson, the lead station flight director for this mission, as well as Lisa Shore, who is the lead spacewalk officer. They will be talking about Steve Bowen and Garrett Reisman's activities outside the station today. Also in that briefing will be Leroy Kane, who is the chairman of the mission management team. That team has been meeting here at the Johnson Space Center today, talking about what's ahead for Space Shuttle Atlantis, as well as the possibility of this end effector survey that would use Atlantis' robotic arm to take a look at different areas of the thermal protection system. So he will have an update on all that as well during that briefing. That briefing was originally scheduled to begin at 3 p.m. Central Time, but due to the fact that today's spacewalk ran a little bit late, that briefing time is going to be pushed back. Whenever we have a specific time for you, we will pass that on to you. But we also want to give you the heads up that the phone bridge will be active for credentialed media. So once we get a time for the briefing, we will advise you to call the Johnson Space Center newsroom at least 15 minutes before that briefing takes place. Today's spacewalk was the 237th spacewalk to be conducted by U.S. astronauts. It was the 144th in support of the assembly and maintenance of the International Space Station. The total time spent conducting those spacewalks is now 900 hours and 58 minutes. There have been 116 spacewalks based out of the ISS airlocks for a total time of 713 hours and 43 minutes. This was the 4th spacewalk for Steve Bowen. He now has a total time of 27 hours and 21 minutes. This was the 2nd spacewalk for Garrett Reisman. He now has 14 hours and 26 minutes.